Hi everybody, I'm Rebecca Virginia, and today I have another brand new fall DIY video to share with you for fall 2023. First off, we are going back to the basics with this DIY. I am just taking 2 wood blocks, one that I did get from the Dollar Tree, and some paint and supplies I already had, and we are going to transform those wood pieces into these really cute scarecrow faces. I'll have to insert a picture here because I just realized that I didn't include what the front part of this sign looked like. It is a mason jar decor piece that says some little quote about fall that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. And then the smaller wood piece is just a wood scrap that I had laying around. And I covered them both in this dark brown shade. It's called Burnt Umber by Apple Barrel. And then I'm going in to kind of lighten it up a little bit with the shade Pumpkin by Waverly. And then my favorite lighter brown color, also from Apple Barrel, it is called Territorial Beige. You can absolutely use your creativity here and paint your scarecrow in whatever way that you would like. I'm kind of going for the mama scarecrow and her little baby scarecrow, so I kept things pretty simple on the smaller wood block, and then on the larger wood block I'm adding in some eyelashes, some indentations around the mouth and down the face to give that scarecrow look, and of course have to do the bright orange nose. Next, it's time to outfit both of our scarecrows with some hats. I'm taking some burlap. This is actually a burlap bag that I'm cutting up, but you can use burlap fabric. I think if you have a super thick burlap ribbon, that could also work. I'm wrapping it around my scarecrow head. I hot glued it in the back, and then taking a bit of jute. Of course, I gotta use our jute. I am tying around the top double knot, and I kind of like the way the jute hung down, so I left that. And for the mom, I wanted to put a bow on her. I will link up above my last video where I did a bow tutorial and showed you all how to make a double bow. So I'll have that linked above, and I did the exact same for our smaller scarecrow, just of course cut a smaller piece of burlap. They did need a little bit of hair, so I took some raffia and hot glued that up underneath their little hats poking out. I did it for the mom, and it was really cute. So I also did it for the little scarecrow too. Our next DIY is using an item you might have around the house. We're going to be using those mason jar lids to create a pumpkin. So again, I'm taking that lid section of a mason jar and painting it white. I went outside and used some spray paint on this just because hand painting all of the mason jar lids would have taken a really long time. So I took that outside to spray paint. And I'm going to be totally transparent here. I do think I needed some more mason jar lids. I did not have any, so I bought a 12-pack of them off Amazon, and I think I probably could have gone for a 24-pack. I think the more mason jar lids that you have, the better it's going to look. I threaded through that jute, and then you just kind of form the circle. It's really easy and self-explanatory, as you can see in the video. Once you get them all tied, you're going to knot that, and it kind of looks like a coiled up slinky. And then because again, I don't think I quite had enough mason jar lids, I just started playing around with it, spreading them out, kind of trying to manipulate them and just basically have them more spaced out than I originally intended. Because again, I didn't have enough. I think if you have a bunch of them, you don't have to spread them out quite as much, but I just played around with that until I got a pumpkin shape. Then it is time to accessorize our pumpkin and make it look a little bit more like a pumpkin. I am taking burlap ribbon. It is wired ribbon, and just freehand cutting out some leaves. And the ends of the ribbon, again, those wired sections, I am going to be using to make those little curly vine springs that you see on pumpkins. So I'm cutting off each of them, and I just grabbed a colored pencil. You could do a pen, pencil, really whatever you have kind of around, even your finger. And I wrapped that around and then pulled it off and slightly pulled apart the coil springs just so they were a little bit larger. And for the stem of our pumpkin, I'm really loving using the cinnamon sticks. If you watched last week's video, I use cinnamon sticks quite a lot. They're just the perfect kind of rustic farmhouse touch for a pumpkin stem. So I placed those down. I didn't even have to hot glue them. They fit perfectly. And then I did go in with my hot glue to place down the leaves and our coiled up vines. I absolutely love how this came out. You'll have to let me know in the comments down below if you've ever done a DIY with mason jar lids or any other parts really of a mason jar. This next DIY I almost didn't include because it actually ended up being an epic fail. That I had to turn around, but I wanted to show you guys that even if you mess up your craft sometimes, you can still turn it around and make something great. I have 3 candle jars. I used up all of the wax in the candle, and I stick mine in the freezer, and then it's really easy to get out the remnants of the wax. These are going to be the vessels for the craft. I also had 3, pretty sure it was a maple leaf, but a fall leaf sticker. I did cut them out using my Cricut, but you can just use a plain old sticker. And I'm placing those on the front sections of the jars. The plan was to paint the inside of the jars, and then once everything is dried, I would be able to peel off the sticker, and left behind would be this really nice clear image of the maple leaf. I've done this before in one of my farmhouse videos, and it came out great. But I made a pretty big mistake. I forgot that when you are putting paint on glass and you're going to be doing any sort of peeling, you want to add a little bit of Mod Podge to it. Otherwise, your paint is going to peel pretty badly on the glass, and I forgot about that. When I went to peel off the maple leaf, it peeled off all of the paint, and it did not leave behind that leaf silhouette that I wanted. So I had to pivot, and I ended up just completely painting the jars and decided instead of doing the maple leaf with candles inside, I was going to turn them into some vessels for flowers. So here I am kind of pivoting. I did paint the entirety of all of the candles, went over where I messed up with the maple leaf, and then I started accessorizing them. So for the yellow one, I put on a burlap ribbon bow with a little sunflower on it. Then on the red and the green, I wrapped some jute around it and even some vines on the green. If you're curious on the colors I used, it is Crimson by Waverly is the red, Moss by Waverly is the green, and the yellow color is Cashew by Waverly. All of the florals that I'm using are Dollar Tree florals. Put in a lot of mums and a little bit of daisies in that green one. I thought I was done, but still kind of felt like it was missing something. The yellow and the red had some embellishments with the bow and the vines, but the green was looking a little bare. And the last time that I was in at Dollar Tree, I saw, at least new to me, fall rub-on transfers that were so pretty, and I wasn't sure if it would transfer on glass. I know it definitely would on paper, but it transferred very nicely onto the glass and was pretty easy. All I had to do was scratch with my nail a little bit. I didn't need to get a popsicle stick or a scraper, and I really love the fall touch that added onto the green vase. This DIY, I am embracing the Halloween spirit a little bit early, but I think if you used a bit more of a muted tone for the yellow, like a mustard, and a little bit deeper orange, a little bit more like a burnt orange, you could definitely transform this from being more of a Halloween DIY into an autumn DIY. But these were the only yarn colors that I could find at my Walmart, so we are going full forward with the Halloween candy corn DIY. These foam cones are from Dollar Tree, and although Dollar Tree always has yarn, I went and I could not find yellow or orange yarn at my Dollar Tree, so I ended up having to go to Walmart. These were about $3 each, but I do think I got more yarn than I would have with the Dollar Tree version, so at least I'll have some for next year. This DIY is very self-explanatory. You're just going to be wrapping the various colors around the foam cone. I did use my hot glue gun to place down kind of sporadically where the yarn was starting to slide around just to keep everything held in. And after I finished each section, I went in different crisscrosses and kind of all across the candy corn cone. Wow, say that 3 times fast, to just give it a little bit more of a design. Once you get to the top section, I just placed a glob of hot glue at the top and started circling the yarn really tiny around the top just so that we covered everything. I really like when styling to have items at different heights. I think it just looks more interesting to look at and it keeps the eye busy going up and down levels. If you are able to find either a smaller cone or a larger cone, then you would not need this stand. I did get it from Dollar Tree though, and I like using it in a lot of my displays, so I highly recommend, if you see that black stand, picking it up. Next DIY is using puzzle pieces to make a pumpkin, but if you're not quite ready for pumpkins, I think this would also be really cute to make an apple with. You would of course just change the colors. When I took out those mason jar lids to spray paint, I also brought a bunch of the puzzle pieces. I got the 500 puzzle piece from Dollar Tree, so I laid those out and primed them with some white spray paint. Then I went in, and this did take a little bit longer because I didn't have orange spray paint, and I painted them all orange. The shade I used was a Pumpkin by Waverly. You could definitely freehand making the pumpkin shape. It's really just more like an oval. I did cut out a pumpkin out of some scrapbooking paper to act as my base. I would suggest this. It's just a lot easier, and it also gives the hot glue something to adhere to. So I completed covering up that scrapbooking paper with my orange puzzle pieces. I have a good amount of different scrapbooking paper for fall, so I wasn't sure which one looked best with the orange pumpkin, but I decided on this zigzag pattern with some wood background. Thought that looked the most farmhouse to me, so I cut that to size and then placed it in the back of this Dollar Tree decor piece. I'm really loving the double bows. Again, I did a tutorial last week, so check out that video if you haven't. And I used this checked pattern from the Dollar Tree. I really like this ribbon. It's a little bit more muted. And I put that on the center of the pumpkin, and for the stem, of course, you guys know I'm loving the cinnamon sticks as stems, so I placed that behind. Because the cinnamon stick elevated the pumpkin a little bit, I ended up putting these sticker dots behind it. That way the pumpkin was more 3D and kind of coming off the back of that Dollar Tree decor piece. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, keep searching, keep creating.